They were about 60 million when I came in, and by the time I left, about 4.5 years later, they were 220 million. Most of these people that talk about scaling their business, they truly don't understand. Sales isn't hard. Speed to lead is number one. Everybody loves a good train wreck. If you're the third person out and you still can't close it, fold your doors. There's no reason to be open.
Can you walk us through what a perfect presentation sales appointment looks like?
Yeah, so the day of the appointment, you can scale a roofing company in a heartbeat. Roofing companies are in the basement. If a window company decide to sell roofs, they're going to throw a roofing company right in the trash.
Chuck, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, Danny. I'm excited to be here.
Can you just explain your background, where you come from, and experience, and kind of what you do?
Yeah, so I own a company called Top Rep, and Top Rep is one of the larger home improvement. We don't just do roofing, siding. I mean, we do all of home improvement, and we coach you from the ground up. But we specialize in that sales and sales leadership world. And so I've been doing that professionally for about 8 years now. Before then, I've been in sales for about 20 years. I have had some of the larger sales teams in the country, some of them when it comes to baths. So I was the VP of sales and marketing for Bath Fitter. And then I get this phone call from this company out of Columbus, and they said, "Hey, we want you to do what you did with Bath Fitter. We want you to blow it up like you did with Bath Fitter." And so I went over there. They were about 60 million when I came in, and by the time I left, about 4.5 years later, they were 220 million.
So according to the analytics team at Google, the biggest mistake locally owned businesses make with their website is not having enough trust factors present. This could be reviews, pictures, videos, podcasts, etc. My mission at Green Media is to solve the trust problem for locally owned businesses. If you're interested in more leads and faster closes, schedule a free 15-minute call. I'll run you through my brand assessment and get you a blueprint for moving forward. Click the link below and schedule it in 30 seconds.
And so, going into a lot of these different organizations and really growing them, I wanted to say, hey, I wanted to go into a lot of these smaller organizations and see what I could do. And so we have worked with now some of the largest organizations that started. And I want to say they started, well, we all start small, right? But when we first started working with them, they were about 2 to 3 million. And most of them now that we've been working with are anywhere between 50 and $500 million. So, it's understanding when people say, hey, it's all about scaling. It's not all about scaling. It's about building the team. Most of these people that talk about scaling their business, they truly don't understand. They got lucky with a business and they want to show you how to do it. And so when we actually teach you how to grow a team and grow your business around that team and understand how to work with that team, that's where true scalability comes. But you also have to understand your numbers. Most of these businesses that stay small, it's not that they suck. It's just that they just don't know how to look at their numbers. They're scared because growth is scary. You're going to have to almost, look at am I going to go broke? And I'm going to make moves that could break this company. And so you have to be very brave inside the organization. And some of these larger companies, they really went for broke.
I want to back up for a second here. I want to get into scaling and that sort of thing. For the listener, we're going to go through a couple different sections, the format of laps, leads, appointments, presentations, sales, try to give you a quick masterclass on what you need to know to be successful. Chuck, I want to bring it back, though, just a little bit. So you've been doing sales for 20, 30 years, a long time. For a lot of people, sales is very scary. It feels slimy. I'm sorry. That's just like a connotation. It kind of,
Yeah.
I don't, whether it's true or not, it's just what people kind of think. I want to know, how can we shift our mindset from the very foundation of around sales? What's the mind shift?
Well, first, understand that sales isn't what sales used to be, where we didn't really have much of an internet. It was harder to find the information. Well, now everybody has all the information they need at their fingertips. So what has to happen now is it's all very common sense sales, but as Confucius say, sales or common sense not so common. And so what we need to understand is that there is a certain process. Now, if all you're going to do is say, hey, all I got to do is ask a bunch of questions, that is not going to get you there. You have to ask good questions and then shut up long enough to listen to them, the answers. And so what we want to get across is sales isn't hard. Now, what is hard is understanding the process of when do I ask certain questions in the house and what path am I going to take this homeowner down. And the other thing here is that everybody has this sense that one call close is hard closing. I will tell you, hard closing is out. You cannot do hard closing. Hard closing used to work on 60 to 65% of homeowners. Today, it works on less than 7%. And typically, the only customers that truly are susceptible to hard closing are older customers, and most of them have already moved on. And so we have to look at, when we look at sales, is we're going to bring a certain process, and it's a very easy process, but you have to learn it.
What's the difference between a hard close and a close?
Hard closing is, some of you that out there that are listening to this right now have probably heard buy or die. That I'm going to burn the house down and that kind of thing, where if I can't sell it, nobody can sell it. And I'm growing roots in this chair. I'm not leaving until I get a deal. All that's done. It's out. You can't do it anymore. There are a couple of companies, and some of you that are listening right now are thinking of companies right now that are using it. And just so you know, those companies that you're thinking of have already contacted us or others, but most of them has contacted us and saying, all right, this isn't working anymore. We need to move on to the more softer. And when you look at our closing roadmap, and we have a full closing roadmap that's laid out. It's very easy to understand, but we say that it's no to low pressure closing. There really is no pressure to it. It's understanding how to talk, where we're going to bring the tone of our voice, and then where are we putting pauses. So if I were to ask, let's say that you say, hey, Chuck, everything looks good. I'm just going to need some time to think about it. Say, hey, Danny, I totally get it. Because when I'm talking to you and I'm presenting to you in this tone of voice right now, which is an authoritative, if you're going to buy from an expert, right? You want them to be an expert. But when you're ready to buy and you give me a bunch of stalls and excuses, now I'm going to lower myself to actually below you. Hey, and it's almost a whisper. Hey, Danny, I get it. I totally understand. When you say that you're going to need to think about this, how long do you think that you're going to need to think about this? So you might come back and say, well, I'm just going to need at least the next couple of weeks. Oh, okay. Well, that's why we give you 30 days. You'd be able to make a decision within the next 30 days, right? So when we look at, if you're going to come to Top Rep, like we have 2 events a year, you're going to hear from stage that a confused rep is a rich rep. And people look at us funny. They almost look at us confused when we say this. But if I were to tell you, Danny, hey, I need you to be curious in the house, all you're doing is asking more questions. Your facial expressions still look like you have Botox in your face and you're just regurgitating a script. But if I say, hey, look, I want you to look confused in the house. When you are looking confused, then your questions are coming across believable. People don't sell because they don't like you. That is one of the biggest misconceptions. People buy from people they like and trust. No, they buy from people they trust, but they don't have to like you. You're only there for 45 to an hour and a half. How much do they like you? And 45 minutes to an hour and a half. So that's a bit of a misconception. But when they look and they're like, hey, I really, this person right here, I believe in what he's saying. But people don't buy because they don't believe you. They actually think that you're regurgitating a script. So my ADD is going to take me to all types of different rabbit holes. But when I talk about these scripts, so there's 3 levels of understanding the process. First level is competency. That just means you know it. You've gone through it, you've memorized the scripts and you know it, and you sound like Hamlet when you give it. but at least you're doing something better than most of these sales reps, which do very little. They're just order takers. The next level is mastery. You've mastered it. You've put some emotion to it, and you're believable. But then that third, and about a quarter of the people that are really diving into this actually go to this level, and it's called going pro. This is where you have earned the right to somewhat make it your own, that we're going to help you read the customer and decide, is this a director, socializer, relator, or thinker that I'm talking to? And if it's a director, I'm going to get right to the point. I'm still going to go through my process, but I'm going to talk a little bit faster so that they know that I'm not wasting their time. Now, a socializer, man, they want to talk. These people buy. And again, we're going to take them through that whole process, but kind of coming back to this when it comes to understanding that what is, high pressure and what's low pressure. High pressure means that I'm not leaving. I'm going to get a little bit in your face, and I'm not leaving from being in your face. I'm not leaving the house, and almost to the point where they will almost berate you. They're going to pretty much make you feel like crap, that you're not buying from them. And that does not work anymore.
Right.
And they start to bash their competition and really make themselves look bad in the house. Now, when that company comes up against a pro, they're going to get their lunch eaten every single time. The problem is there's not too many pros out there.
I love how you just went right to it. That's awesome. Let me back up just a little bit. We're going to get into the presentation and the closing and that sort of thing. From the leads, I should say marketing and sales, from my opinion, has become a lot more intertwined than it used to be. And sales relies on leads. What have you learned about getting good leads? What's your I guess, philosophy, or what do you I feel like I could just put out a word, leads, and you'll just go.
It's everybody wants the Glengarry leads. If you've ever seen Glengarry, Glen Ross, everybody wants the Glengarry leads, and they want the best leads. And when they do get a bad lead, which I think is funny when someone's like, "Oh, that's just a bad lead." I'd like for someone to tell me what a bad lead is. When I first got into this, my sales manager, I asked him, I said, what is a good appointment? What's a good lead? He shakes my hand. He puts his two fingers on the back of my wrist. He says, if you feel a pulse, that's a good lead. And really, it's like, do you have, and the person that you're going out to see, do they have a house? Do they have, if you're selling roofing, then do they have a roof? Do they have windows? Do they have siding? Do they have a bath? Whatever it is that you're selling. And, well, yeah. And, are they going to give you 60 to 90 minutes? Well, of course. And what else are you looking for? When you get there and they have bad credit, I'm not going to try and get their credit over the phone. If I got somebody approved for credit over the phone, I wouldn't need a sales rep. Because you have to be downright dumb not to close that. You have to suck really bad not to close an appointment that has already been qualified for financing. These organizations where a customer goes on their website and fills out the credit app and they have approved credit, save the money. Send your front desk person to go pick that up. You don't need to pay a sales commission for someone that's already been approved for credit.
What about generating these leads, though? That's because we're talking owner operators. They're wearing lots of different hats. What do you believe in paid? Do you believe in organic? What's your strategy for actually generating leads?
I believe in all of it. So when I get into these organizations, when I get into smaller organizations that don't have a bigger budget, that don't have the big budget, you still need to realize that money generates money. So, but be smart about it. We'll even send anybody that sends us an email, we'll send it out to them. But we have a marketing spreadsheet that most of the larger brands in the country still use, because most of your CRMs suck at keeping track of your marketing sources. and how much you spend versus what's actually happening in the house. So we're going to take a look at the entire picture from each individual marketing source. And we're going to move money around if we need to. We get together every Wednesday and we break this thing down and find out what's working, what's not working. If we're going to move money from one source to another because that source is really working, but this one, it hasn't for the last couple of weeks, so we'll move stuff around that way. But look at the digital sources first. It's usually some of your cheaper ways of getting leads. And if you're going to go the aggregator routes, I love lead aggregators. They do all the work for you. And most people do nothing but complain about them because they suck at using them. We love lead aggregators. We spend in some of the organizations that we use, we spend in upwards of $50,000 to $100,000 a month on lead aggregators. And it is the biggest ROI we have.
And that's just marketing companies that generate leads and you buy the leads from them.
Yeah.
Correct? Yeah.
Yes.
And so what are you doing differently with those leads? Why do you love them that the other people aren't? Yeah.
Well, here's the biggest, when you're dealing with lead aggregators, speed to lead is number one. And we're going to get in contact with that lead within 30 seconds. So that lead gets sent to us. And sometimes depending on how much you pay a lead aggregator, and some of this is going to change with the new TCPA laws, and I'll get into that here in a second. But once that lead aggregator sends you the lead, that has to be, sirens should go off, not really, but almost to the point where sirens are going off inside your phone room that a lead aggregator lead just came on and you're on the phone with it. We have auto dialers that once that lead comes in, it's dialing, and it almost feels like that homeowner clicks submit and their phone's ringing.
Oh.
And we want to show that person that is the type of response you're going to get from our organization the entire time you're working with us. And you'd better give it. You can't just be lying to them and say, yeah, our service is great, and then give them crappy service. But speed to lead is everything. Then when you get them on the phone, keep them on the phone for 10 minutes. Here's what we're going to take them through the lead process. We're going to talk to them. We're going to get the rapport with them, and we're going to have them for 10 minutes. Here's why. Every other company that they sold that lead to is calling within the next 10 minutes. So they're all going to voicemail. We let them know, hey, you're probably even hearing some other people calling in. That is just, let's say that it's Home Advisor. That's just Home Advisor making sure that we're doing our job. Once I get off this call with you, then I'm going to give them a call and make sure that they know that we've gotten everything taken care of. So that pretty much lets them know they don't even have to check their voicemail.
Wow.
They probably won't even check their voicemail for the next day or two. Well, if you did your job, you've already scheduled your appointment for the next day.
Okay, so this is the appointment section. This is more detailed than I thought would be needed, and it's very interesting. You're playing at a whole nother level. What do you talk about for 10 minutes?
So over the next 10 minutes, we're going to talk about how they, what's their need, what's going on with that. Oh, tell me more about that. And they say, well, if it's a window company, yeah, we have very drafty windows. Oh, tell me more about that. When you say drafty windows, how do you mean? And so we're going to keep them going. Okay. So then we go into their information. So I already know that your phone number is this. Is this the easiest way to contact you? When we confirm the appointment, we typically send a text to confirm, is this the phone number that we want to text back to? Yes. Oh, okay. So what is the address? The address that I have here, and I just want to verify it, is this. What is the nearest intersection? Because now, while we have them on the phone, what the homeowner doesn't know is we're looking it up and making sure that we're sending our sales rep out. Okay, what's the color of your house, if you don't mind? I just want to make sure that we're going to the right house. Now, if they're giving us wrong information, we already know. because I have it right in front of me. I can see their street view. And, so, again, we're taking them through the entire, taking the information from them. So when we come out, what you can expect from the tech that's going to be there is he's going to show up on time. And when he gets there, he's going to want to come in for just a little bit to kind of sit down and get to know the situation and really what it is that you're wanting out of your appointment that day. But he's going to cover all of that while he's sitting with you.
Sure.
So by the time we're done, it's been 10 to 11 minutes that we've had them on the phone.
Nice. I love that. Okay, one other lead source. So that's lead aggregators. It's speed to lead. That's the key. Another one that's big with millennials and people everybody, social media, obviously, paid, but more importantly, organic. What is your thought around creating organic marketing, and what does good organic look like?
So good organic marketing is, I want everybody to write this down, is that everybody loves a good train wreck. So if what you're going to do on your social media is post all of your finished projects, nobody cares. Nobody cares. They want to see a good train wreck. That is what gets them to stop. Not that here's a bare roof. No, what I want to see a tree through a roof. I want to see a car sticking out of that roof. And maybe it's just to get their attention, if nothing else. But people love a good situation, good train wreck. And if you want them to stop scrolling, give that to them. It's no different than taking the lead from the news. The news, the way that they pull you in is they always start out with bad news. Nobody likes the fact that that's how they do it, but that's what gets your attention. And because everybody wants to rubberneck. Same thing. If nobody cared about a car wreck, they wouldn't slow down on the highway, creating a big traffic jam on the other side that doesn't have it. So again, treat your social media the same way. The other thing is you're going to get more attention on personal pages than you will ever get on a business page. And social media, and I don't understand why. You'd think that Facebook, because that's how they make their money, is through the companies, is they would give more attention to the companies. No, they give more attention to the personal pages. So get your team involved and get them posting these train wrecks. And we even with our sales, I'll say it's roofing. We will have our sales reps go live on the roof while they're inspecting, and explaining while they're there why they are standing on that roof. I'm in this neighborhood, and right now this is the problem that we're having. You can see right here that the shingles, you can see the matting, you can see whatever it is. If it's windows, that you can take a picture, a selfie with, because it's going to be a little tougher you being inside their house doing, going live, because usually the homeowner's with you there. So, getting some good pictures and putting it out on Facebook. You never want to give the homeowners information, because that's not good, and the homeowner's not going to like it. But if they're just pictures of bad baths or bad windows, and this just happens to be the place that you are at today, people are going to stop scrolling and they're going to read more about it. More so than anything that your company is going to put out.
So the train wreck should be it's the before photo, because with the train wrecks, to me, I've heard people say you should be vulnerable about your mistakes because it makes you more believable or honest. But there's that, it feels like you're promoting that you're not good at your work or your job, but you're not saying post train wrecks of your company. It's train wrecks of the customer situation.
Yeah, situations. Sometimes it's clickbait. I know you're going to get it from somewhere else. But again, it's just getting them to stop scrolling long enough to read something, getting them to click on it and pull you in. And all we really want is to get their information. If maybe it's, you're pulling them in and then saying, hey, by the way, we do have information about what's like right now. It'd be good to post that you have great information on how to weatherize the windows or the house or whatever. And all they have to do is put in their information to get the white page about everything they need to do about winterizing their house.
Nice.
Again, now it's not about the fact that they need something right now. It's just another lead.
So, on the topic of content, but not so much generating leads, is there anything between setting the appointment and that first presentation? Should there be any information sent, any marketing materials to help kind of prime the appointment? What is your suggestion around, or should it be silent? What do you coach on that?
Well, what everybody needs to know about setting the appointment and running the appointment, the longest time between setting and running should be 72 hours. Anything that you set for next week is probably going to cancel. They've already got somebody out. And, these very weak companies that say, well, I want to be the third person out. You're going to get a lot of cancels because a closer's going to come in before you get the opportunity to come out. And I'll also tell you, if you're the third person out and you still can't close it, fold your doors. There's no reason to be open because how can you not close that job? But again, if you really want to scale your organization, try to get it. Our favorite are day of. If I'm on the phone with somebody and I can get somebody out there within a few hours and they say that, yeah, my husband's going to be here, you can get me before I leave, yeah, we're going to be here today. Your close rate will be much higher on day ofs than any other appointment date.
Hey, if you're enjoying the show, can you take 4 seconds and press like or hit subscribe? Everybody asks for it. They do it for a reason. It helps with the algorithm. It's a signal that this is good stuff. When you do that, it gets sent to more people. I can make more of these episodes. All right, I'm assuming you've done it. That's about how long it would have taken to do it. Now back to the show.
Now, if you are very accommodating to your sales reps and they have to be on a certain schedule, so then you're going to book it for tomorrow or you're going to book it for 3 days because we have to really make sure that our sales reps are ready to go out. That's going to be a problem. And they've already seen somebody they want more than you, and you better be better than them. And so now you're being compared to 2 other people. If you're the first person out, you're not being compared to anybody. And so that's why we want to be the one that comes out and they're like, wow, we really like this guy, this gal. And so there shouldn't be. Now, if there is some time in there, we will, and I saw this not long ago, so I'm not even going to say it came from us. Some of this we've been doing for years and years, but there's a company, for whatever reason, it's skipping my mind, but they will send a text message the day prior. And it's on a little tiny whiteboard. It has the homeowner's first name. So it says Laura, and then it gives the date and time of the appointment, and they're holding it up. And they're going to click on that because it's a text message. They're going to click on it. It's actually a video of the person that set the appointment. And they're going to say, hey, we can't wait to come out. The tech that's going to be there, his name is Bill whatever, Bill Nye, the science guy, whatever. He's the one that's coming out, and you're really going to like him. And again, you're going to pump this person up so that by the time they get out there, man, they know a lot about this individual. We have to work as a team. Most people just set the appointment and they wish them the best. And so, then the day of, the sales rep themselves, they're going to go through every one of their calls. They're going to get in their car and they're going to film themselves saying, hey, Laura, I look forward to seeing you today at 2. And it's one of my favorite appointments today. I can't wait to see you. And they're going to get them ready to see them today. They're going to go through all their appointments. They're going to send it in, and those text messages are going to go out. And then after that appointment, they're going to do this. Hey, I really enjoyed the appointment that we had today. And if it's a sale, they're going to go through that sale. If it wasn't a sale, then they're going to talk about how they're going to follow up in just a couple of days as we've already scheduled. We've already made the arrangements for me to call you next Tuesday at 2. I'm just reminding you of that. And I can't wait to talk to you next Tuesday, whatever that might be. But again, you're always in contact with that customer. The person that is more in contact with the customer is going to get the job.
And you recommend video for doing the pre-calls and the follow-up calls or texts?
For majority of it, yes.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. That's great. Thank you for all that. So we're going to move here. So basically we're at appointments have been set. We got the leads. Appointments have been set. Let's rock into... Okay, day of appointments. You've given us, you've sent out, and you're making this sound so easy. I'm like, why doesn't everybody just do this and just close sales? So I'm like, all right. Let me ask you one thing.
It is easy once you know about it.
Is it really? Okay. Is there anything different because some of these companies are going to be doing business to business deals as well. Is there anything different when it comes to working for a company or an office building or a school or a church or anything? Or is everything pretty similar?
The framework can be very similar. The message is definitely going to be different. But the framework will be very similar, and understanding how to ask questions will kind of come as well.
Okay. So we're at the presentation stage. Can you walk us through what a perfect presentation sales appointment looks like?
Yeah. So the day of the appointment, we go through what we call a pre-shot routine. So we know that we have to be in the right frame of mind to go into the house. So we have a pre-shot routine, and every sales rep has a different one. We don't coach them on what they should do. Whether it's a certain song that they use, we had some people say we pray, whatever, just make sure you pull over first. But again, that's that pre-shot routine that we're going to get our minds right to go in. If you just had an argument with whether it be your spouse or your sales manager, maybe it's just a really bad appointment, that next homeowner is going to be able to sense it. Danny, I'm going to kind of sidetrack here a little bit. I don't know if you've ever been to maybe a restaurant or an airport and you sit next to these people, and for whatever reason, you've never met them, but you don't like them. You're getting this energy off of them. So sales reps do the same thing. They get in the house and they think, man, I don't know why I didn't get that. For whatever reason, I couldn't warm up with them. And a lot of that is either they are having a very negative situation going on or you did. And man, it was just not, cohesive in the house. And so that's the first thing. And then when we get to the house, when we park, you have 30 seconds to get out of your car. You cannot sit there for 2-3 minutes getting your stuff ready. It should have already been ready. And their Ring doorbell goes off. So then their phones just signify that someone has just pulled up. So they're already expecting you. So they know that you pulled up and they're watching you on the phone. So if you sit there, it's going to feel like 20 minutes if you sit there for 5 minutes getting things ready. So you have 30 seconds to get out of your car. When you get out of your car, the curtains open up. So first impressions have already started. And so make sure you're smiling, that when you're walking up to the house, you have a little swagger in your step, and you knock on the door, take a couple steps back. And when that door opens up, you'd better be ready. So this starts our entry and warm up. And so you got to know what to say when that door opens up. Hey, Bob? Yes, Bob, my name is Chuck. I'm here with Top Rep Exteriors. I'm here for our 2:00 appointment. Is now still a good time to spend the next 60 to 90 minutes with you? Now I'm making sure that I have an environment for a presentation to even take place. And he says, yeah, great. And is it okay where I parked? Now, if he looks at you and says, well, the wife's gone. She's going to be gone for a couple of hours. So you guys are going to be long gone by the time she gets back. So yeah, you're fine right where you park. Well, now I know that I have one and not the other. And this is going to be, it's almost going to be, it's going to be impossible to close. So we'll have to take a look at that. Now, we don't have enough time here today to go into that, but you have to know how to deal with that situation. And we do not reset the appointment. People that watch this, like, yeah, I reset the appointment. That's a negative review waiting to happen. We don't reset the appointment. We just take care of it in a different way. But let's say that everything was good, and he said, "Yep, everybody's in. Great. Can I come in for just a couple of minutes before I jump up on the roof?" Yeah, come on in. And I put booties on my feet. I don't take my shoes off. Again, everybody's been trained to take their shoes off in the house. I want to put booties on my feet if I'm an exterior remodeler. Now, if I'm interior, if I'm talking about their kitchen or their bath or something like that, then I'm going to wear slip-on shoes, and I'm going to slip my shoes off and make sure that I have decent socks on. But again, I'm going to put booties on my feet if I'm an exterior remodeler. I am going to work my way to the kitchen table, and now I'm going to have some small talk with the homeowner if I can. Now, I am not into small talk. So I have to use a thing called FORM, FORM. So family, occupation, recreation, motivation. I'm going to go through that. If you're there to sell me, I'm going to let you know that I'm not in it for the small talk. And so that is what we call a director. And they will let you know if they are a director. And again, we deal with things a little differently when we deal with those. But I'm going to have some small talk with them, and I'm going to kind of roll into what we call our entry and warm-up statement. And that is me narrating what's going to happen today, all the way to the point where they know that I'm going to ask for the deal. Then I'm going to go into a question answer time, kind of what we call the survey. We don't tell them that it's called the survey, but it's what we do. And I'm going to ask them 4 or 5 different questions. I'm going to ask them, so how long have you guys lived here? And that's just to get them warmed up. If they say 12 years, I might ask some probing questions there. Then I'm going to ask them, so, do you guys have any plans on moving at all? Is this going to be your forever house? And that's a big question, because you don't want to find out that they're moving by the time you're done. And then, then I'm going to ask them, so how long have you guys been thinking about getting this project done? Now you're going to find out that they've been thinking about doing this for the last 2 years. And what makes you decide to go ahead and get it done today? Oh, we're not doing anything today. Oh, well, really? Well, what makes you say that? And again, I'm getting them to answer questions that they wouldn't normally answer, and I'm getting to the opportunity to hear about things that they're going to give me here in about 20, 30 minutes when I ask them for the order. So I'd rather know that now than the second I ask them for the order. I can get them ready for the answers. So then we're going to get into what we call the walk around. Depending on what it is I'm selling, I'm going to walk them around and have them show me why I'm there. Some trades we won't do the walk around because it just wouldn't make sense. We go right into the inspection. And during the inspection, this is where the job is won. And you have to give a masterful inspection, making sure that you do things that other companies won't do. Again, this is a show, and you got to do the show. So if I'm going to be in the bathroom, I'm going to get into their crawl space. I'm going to get into the access panel. And people ask me, what are you looking for in the access panel? Nothing. I'm just looking around. I'm going to take some pictures in there, and I might moan and groan a little bit. But ultimately, I'm doing what other companies won't do. I'm making the homeowner do things that most companies won't have them do. If I'm selling a bath, I'm going to have that homeowner get into the bath. I'm going to measure their hip, and that's I know exactly where the handle needs to be. So by the time I'm done, there isn't a company out there that can compete with us. And like we just started a month ago, we just started a bath company in West Virginia. And our very first month, we've already sold over $100,000. And with people that have never even touched a bath other than used one, And again, it's just understanding how to go about it. Same thing with these roofing companies. You can scale a roofing company in a heartbeat. It's very easy to scale a roofing company, mostly because most roofing companies don't know anything other than how to install a roof. roofing companies are in the basement of the sales, I guess you can say, ladder. If a window company decide to sell roofs, they're going to trash. They're going to throw a roofing company right in the trash because that roofing company can't compete with
Hmm.
how that window company, because most window companies are way up here when it comes to understanding how to sell. And then roofing companies are way down here in the basement still. So, again, understanding how to go through that appointment, because once we're done with that inspection, then we're going to come all the way back to the presentation, and we're going to do a quick presentation. We use a platform called Engage to do that presentation, and we make it fun. Now, if your presentation that you're doing takes longer than 20 minutes, that's way too long. And so again, we teach them how to structure that presentation. The other thing that we have found, so we use a company called Rilla. We've partnered with this company, and Rilla records everything in a house. It breaks it down, analyzes it, and gives that sales rep a score about how they did. That's how the technology, how far the technology has come over the years. And so we've taken 2 million recordings, and what we found inside the presentation is we're going to take most of our company story and put it at the end. Most sales organizations, they keep their company story up front, which is what makes them different. And then the thing that ties them into every sales organization in the world, that's what they put at the end. And that's the only thing that homeowner remembers. They don't remember all the reviews you had, what makes you different. So we're going to take a little bit, put it up, we call it sandwiching. We put a little bit of it up front, and we put the chunk in the end. And we truly show why we're different. So that's how we structure that presentation. And then we roll right into our trial close. We're going to kind of put our toe in the water and kind of boil things down to money before we ever even show them a price. Then we go into our price presentation, and the price presentation should be very structured and how we give price. So if you have just one price to give because you're a design build type organization, then you need to make the scope look like art. And we don't have enough time for me to go into that, but you have to make it look like art and give give that price. If you have the ability to give 3 prices, do a best, then a good, and then come back to your better. That's how you structure that.
That's good.
And then once that homeowner, we're going to give our first, it sounds like you had a question there.
I got a question. Yeah. How much should we be asking questions versus talking and telling them about is it asking questions in the beginning, telling, and then asking questions, or how? Everybody says sales is about asking great questions, but then you hear the word presentation, and to me that feels like me talking and monologuing.
Right. And then when you see our presentation, you're going to see that a majority of it's just questions. We ask the questions, and what's on the screen just backs up the question, is all it is. 65 to 70% should be questions in the house. 65 to 70%.
And do you answer those questions right then and there, or is it just research and surveys like you were saying?
We don't answer the questions. They're the ones that answer the questions as we go through it.
Okay.
But
those things about what they want, what's important to them.
Really it is. Have you read the remodeling magazine before? When you're inside that remodeling magazine, have you noticed the cost versus value page? And a lot of them think that they've seen it, which they haven't because it's a contractor magazine. But they're like, no, I haven't really dove into that. Well, the cost versus value, we break down what cost versus value is first, because that needs to be said before you show them the content that came from cost versus value, if that's what you're going to show them.
Gotcha. Okay. Sorry, I kind of interrupted you there, but we're talking about the close, right? Is that about where we're at? We've told them about our company. Now, how do we seal the deal and get that commitment?
So you're going to have trainers out there that say, come in and buy my book or come through my training, and we're going to show you how to make sure that you don't have any of those objections. That's absolute crap. That is nothing more than to get you to click on this because it is not true. Nobody can teach you that, just so you know. There is nobody out there that can teach you how to eliminate objections, and here's why. They had those objections in mind before you ever pulled up. They knew they were going to tell you that they need to think about it. They knew they were going to tell you that you're too expensive. They knew they were going to tell you that, that they're going to get 3 estimates before you ever showed up to the house. These are habit forming objections. They're used to telling people this. It's like the folks when they say, "Hey, can I help you?" "Nope, just looking." No, they actually want something, but they just don't want your help right now.
Mm-hmm.
Or they're just looking around, whatever the case may be. But they knew they were going to tell you that, and it's a habit forming objection. They're going to say it whether they meant it or not. Most people tell you that I've got 3 other people. No, they don't. You know that 80% of people that tell you this, and this comes from the sales, I think it was Sandler Sales Institute, when they went through their whole process, that 80% of people that tell you that they're shopping around are not shopping around. When you come back, they still don't have that new window, those new windows, that new roof. They still don't have it 6 months from now.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't buy from anybody else.
How do you push through while maintaining rapport and not becoming desperate or adversarial? Or how do you do that in artistic?
You're going to take them through the entire process, and then you're going to agree with them when they give you that stall, excuse, or objection. And then, like, we have what we call the world famous closing roadmap. And we only say this because so many organizations are now using it because it's so easy to use. It's so easy to train, and it's very common sense. So the understanding how to deal with, I need to think about it. I need to talk to my dad. I need to talk to my son or daughter. We never do business the night of, you're just going to have to come back tomorrow. Give us a call. You got to get 3 estimates. All of these are very easy to take care of. And even when they don't work, or what we do, we have these things called pivot points. They're flashcards, and it trains you to switch in the middle of an objection. So if you're in the middle of this is too much, and in the middle of it, they say, well, I really need to talk to my dad. You need to be able to pivot and handle that objection now, because that's the new objection. And so we teach you how to do that inside of Top Rep.
Do you have any of those resources online, the closing roadmap or pivot points or anything that would?
We do. You can get into, like, if you come to topreptraining.com, you'll get a chance to see that. If you go on our Facebook page, you'll see a ton of it. We give our information away, because it's not that we're going to sit here and train you. We're here to coach you. And I had a guy, he says, "Hey, I'd love to see your training manual." I was like, "Just give me your email." He goes, "Really?" I says, "It's not about the script. It's about how you give it. And that's what we teach and train you." So, that's something that we really want to help people with, is understand why it works and how it works, not just what works.
Okay, two more questions. I think we're coming up on time here soon. But what are the exercises? I hear the word close, like pivot points. Okay, that sounds like an exercise. I really like the idea of mastering certain building blocks and becoming, just practicing. What can people do? Are there exercises that they could do right now that would help them with their sales?
We have, like, pivot points. They're flashcards. And these flashcards are every objection, stall, excuse, issue that you're going to hear in a house. This is over 20 years of what we've been hearing in the house. And so you'll see the issue on the front, a bit of a hint on how to deal with it. And then on the back is the answer of what you need to do to take care of this. And, this helps your team really, and it's a very inexpensive way to start training your team. We have very large teams that use this as games. They can do games with this in the house, or not in the house, inside their sales meetings, they can use it in their cars or whatever. And, that is one way to do it. We also have a platform that has everything on it, whether it's the entire selling system, understanding. You can actually see us in the house doing it. It's not us just training you on it. You can actually see us in the house doing this in front of a homeowner. That's on the platform. We also will break for the sales manager side on how they're to train their sales reps to learn this. But yeah, there's a lot of different ways that we do this. The biggest though, and the most effective is the 2 events that we do a year. So the next one is March 3rd and 4th in Phoenix, Arizona. We only allow 300 people. We cut it off. We had 70 companies that couldn't come to Columbus, Ohio in this past August. So we do them in the spring and in the fall. And so, only 300 contractors are able to be there. And it's because we want to be able to have that personal touch and interaction with you. We don't want this to be so big that it kind of is lost in translation. And, again, it's an experience. And the sales reps get to use the information while they're there. There's 6 times where they are going to have 6 different people pitching them, and then they're going to pitch those 6 people. And so, they're actually going to be pitched 40 different times from, all different trades in the house. So it's an awesome experience to have. And then obviously, everybody gets graded, and then a top rep comes out ahead.
That's awesome. Well, Chuck, this has been really educational. It's probably more entry level than you're used to, but I appreciate you just making it simple and giving us like a clear vision of what a sales process could look like. My last question is just, based on all your experience, life, business, what's something you'd want to leave the listener with as far as whether it's a piece of advice for sales or just business in general, an ask, a challenge? What would you like to leave them with?
I'm going to tell everybody that you need to have a training organization. If you're an owner, if you're a manager, that you need to turn your organization into a training organization. Stop with this. We're a sales and marketing organization that just happens to sell roofing, window siding, whatever. That is just dumb. You need to be a training organization. Train your people. And when they're tired of being trained, train them again. And that is what makes these phenomenal companies. So they grow fast, they grow smooth, they turn their culture around because they're willing to train their people.
Amazing. All right. Well, I'm turning Green Media into a training organization. Yep.
There you go.
There we go.
Hey, thanks for listening to Blue Collar Visionary. I'm excited about the journey we're on. And if you haven't already, hit like, hit subscribe, show a little love for the work, show a little love for your boy. We are building something. I got a 10-year vision on this, and I want you to be a part of it. So thank you for spending your last hour with me. Don't forget, if you want all the actionable insights from this show and all the other shows, trade your email in the link below, and you'll get access instantaneously. All right, be good. Talk later.